In this movie, we are shown a world where humans and dinosaurs coexist. Many years ago, when disasters struck the world, most of the dinosaurs were killed, but those who survived started living underground. They couldn't come to the outside world and their population grew below. However, a few years ago, a massive explosion occurred, creating a large passage through which dinosaurs began to emerge into the outside world. But the air and water here were not suitable for them, leading to the death of many more dinosaurs. However, now there were places where dinosaurs lived, and they were in coastal areas and islands where the air and water were suitable for them. Because of this, those places became dangerous and humans stopped going there. However, a few select companies were allowed to go there so they could research the dinosaurs and provide more information about these creatures to the people. Now, let's look at a scene from 2010. Here, a company named InGen had set up a base on one of these islands where many doctors and scientists were working together on dinosaurs. They were actually working on the mutation of dinosaurs. That is, by altering dinosaurs to make them stronger and more dangerous, they were collecting the blood of all dinosaurs and changing their DNA so that they could mutate all the dinosaurs. This company, InGen, had already mutated many dinosaurs in their lab. All of them were kept inside large containers, and the dinosaur they were mutating was a T-Rex. However, due to a worker's mistake, there was a malfunction in the machine. The mutation process comes to an abrupt halt midway. Consequently, the T-Rex, which was previously in a dormant state, awakens. It breaks free from its confines and begins wreaking havoc throughout the laboratory, mercilessly attacking numerous individuals. Observing this, it becomes evident to us that it had undergone significant mutation because it appeared much larger and exceedingly dangerous and fierce. Witnessing this, all the scientists and doctors become terrified and abandon their laboratory and mutation work, fleeing from the premises. After that, no one ever returned to this laboratory. 17 years have passed, and after the year 2010, we are directly shown the year 2027. In this present time, we see a man named Martin. Martin worked for a very large pharmaceutical company called Palkar, which manufactures medicines for every major illness. At this time, a very dangerous heart disease is spreading worldwide, affecting every other person. Parker Company, through its research, discovers that in the coming time, this disease will increase so much that 1 in every 5 people will definitely have it. Therefore, Parker Company has If they can create a medicine for this heart disease, the demand for their medicine will skyrocket worldwide. Not only will they cure people's illnesses, but they will also earn a lot of money. They will profit as well. Now, Parker Company realizes that dinosaurs could be very useful in making this medicine. This is because obviously dinosaurs are quite large in size. Due to their large size, their hearts are also large, which naturally means they are powerful. Therefore, Parker Company believed that if they could obtain the blood of an animal with a large heart like a dinosaur, they could develop their medicine. They'll find a way to make it. To do this, Parker Company chooses Martin and asks him to bring blood from all 3 types of dinosaurs. That is, those that live on land, those in water, and those that fly. Now, obviously, Martin couldn't do this job alone. Therefore, he decides to form a team, and the first person he approaches is Zora, who was once a commander in the Special Forces. This makes her an expert in combat, handling weapons, and surviving in tough situations. Since the place Martin needs to go is also dangerous, that's why the initial individual in his team is Zora, and to collaborate with her, he proposes a sum of $10 million. Subsequently, he begins elaborating on everything in detail, stating that his company is engaged in addressing a perilous heart disease, and to develop a remedy for that ailment, the company requires the blood of all 3 categories of dinosaurs. He further mentioned that this mission would be completely confidential because if the government becomes aware of it, they will never permit them to accomplish the mission since it is unlawful. Now, even though after hearing all this, Zora was initially reluctant to go, however, due to the substantial amount of money offered, she consented to assist him and became part of the team. Following this, Martin introduced Zora to the 3rd individual, who was a scientist. This scientist was also a medical doctor and possessed extensive knowledge regarding dinosaurs. Consequently, Martin invited him to join the team and explained everything in detail, to which the scientist also consented. His agreement wasn't motivated by the money, but rather by his passion for dinosaurs and his desire to observe them closely and gain further insights about them during the mission. And because 3 people were not enough for this mission, Martin needed more people. For this, Zora introduced Martin to her 2 friends who used to work with her in the Special Forces. One of them was skilled in fighting and handling weapons, while the other was quite strong because he had Special Forces training and could also operate a ship in the ocean. Additionally, he could handle any trouble that might arise. With the inclusion of these 2, Martin's team now had a total of 5 people. Soon they fully prepared and boarded the ship to embark on their mission. Along the way, They included 2 more people, making a total of 7. They were looking at the map of the place they were heading to. It is discovered that water dinosaurs are mostly found near a special type of island. Upon seeing this island, Martin tells everyone that this island is special because 17 years ago, a company named InGen was conducting mutation work on dinosaurs here. However, due to an accident, that lab was shut down and all these buildings have been left as they are. From his words, we inferred that this is the same scene we saw at the beginning of the story. After explaining this, the team calmly proceeds towards their mission. Now the scene changes and in the temple, we observe a small boat carrying a total of 4 individuals. A young boy named Teresa, along with his 2 sisters, brother and father. They were genuinely out to explore the vast sea and were transitioning from one location to another. However, as their boat progressed forward, numerous sea creatures began to surround them. And all these magnificent creatures were, in fact, aquatic dinosaurs that began colliding with their vessel one after another, eventually capsizing it. Consequently, all 4 individuals were thrown into the water. Fortunately, they were lucky as the dinosaurs had already departed, which ultimately spared their lives. They swiftly made their way back to their boat. Teresa's father adjusted the frequency in accordance with their location and transmitted signals. Shortly, the signal would reach the team's ship. This prompted Jura's companions to understand that there was someone present who required assistance because they had. After meticulously setting their frequency, they also transmitted the precise location along with the signals. Upon thorough checking, it was discovered that they were approximately 45 kilometers away from them, and their ship was nearly approaching its intended destination, which was the island. Consequently, Martin declines to take the boat back and assist those individuals, stating that they will first accomplish their task and then proceed to help someone. However, Zora, being a considerate person, does not heed Martin's words and turns the ship back towards those individuals. Before long, they reach them and bring all 4 onto their ship. They successfully preserve the forest. Subsequently, Teresa's father recounts the entire sequence of events that transpired while they were at sea. Upon hearing this, the team comprehends that the assailants were indeed aquatic dinosaurs. Before long, numerous massive water dinosaurs commence colliding with their ships. Observing this, the team members do not feel frightened. Instead, they are quite pleased and maneuver their ship nearer to the dinosaurs to fulfill their initial task. It becomes evident that, in order to extract dinosaur blood, the scientist friend had devised an exceptionally ingenious strategy. Actually, they have a gun that has a needle syringe and container attached together. As soon as the gun fires the needle-tipped containers at the dinosaur's body, the needle will penetrate inside, quickly filling the containers. Once they are completely filled, the containers will fly into the air because they have parachutes attached. Afterward, they can easily catch those containers when they come down. Seeing a dinosaur in front of her, Zora quickly strikes with the needle gun, making it easy to. They successfully manage to obtain the NSR's blood. Since they have completed their initial task by acquiring the blood of a dinosaur, everyone is quite delighted. However, shortly thereafter, several more aquatic dinosaurs begin attacking their ship, forcefully ramming into it. Observing this, Zora's 2 companions commence shooting at them in an attempt to make the dinosaurs retreat. Yet, instead of retreating, the dinosaurs become enraged, and one of them approaches the ship and seizes one of Zora's companions, holding him in front of everyone. This frightens everyone immensely. They don't stop and keep hitting the ship repeatedly. This causes it to shake violently. As a result, Teresa falls into the water. Seeing this, her 2 sisters, brother and dad also jump into the water to save her, and they quickly swim to a nearby island. Somehow, Zora's other companion manages to control the ship, and soon Gobi brings the ship close to the island. However, the ship crashes badly into a rock, causing significant damage. But the good thing was, their lives were ultimately saved. As the individuals disembarked from the ship onto the island of Ireland, they unexpectedly encountered an enormous dinosaur, which viciously attacked the girl they had included later on. This unfortunate event meant that their second companion was also killed. Witnessing this, everyone was filled with terror and began to ponder how they would manage to return home, given that their ship was in a dreadful state. It was severely damaged, making it impossible for them to go back that way. They were all deeply worried until Zora reassured them, saying that she had a well-thought-out plan. There is an alternative plan. She mentions that she had a notion that our vessel might become destroyed during this mission. That's why she had organized another team and instructed them to arrive at this island with a helicopter the following day. So, today itself, we need to complete our tasks as swiftly as possible and proceed to an elevated location on this island so that when they arrive with the helicopter tomorrow, they can spot us and we can spot them, because they will only wait for us for a brief period. Hearing this, Zora's companion became quite anxious. She informs everyone. It is known that this island is very dangerous, it's filled with dinosaurs, and everyone is aware of this, so the helicopter team wouldn't want to stay here too long and risk dying. Therefore, they will monitor us for a short time. If we manage to meet them, they will take us with them, but if not, they will assume we died on this island and leave us behind. At one place on the island was this situation, while at another place was Teresa and her family. This family was looking for help to get out of here, while Zora and her team had a plan to finish the remaining tasks today. Both dinosaurs. Occasionally, they gather blood samples and intend to return home via helicopter the following morning. This island was truly peculiar. They observe a variety of phenomena here, such as diverse species of dinosaurs. Apart from these, they do not encounter other types of animals or insects. Nevertheless, in spite of all this, Zora and her team persist in exploring the island. They come across an expansive field inhabited by numerous terrestrial dinosaurs. Consequently, Zora and her team swiftly approach them and discreetly collect their blood samples as well. And in this manner, they now had the blood of 2 dinosaurs. These dinosaurs didn't attack them because firstly they were herbivores. Secondly, they couldn't even see these people because there were so many of them. Now they needed the blood of a 3rd dinosaur, a flying one, but these dinosaurs are quite fast and dangerous. Therefore, Zora and the scientists decided that they wouldn't extract its blood directly by putting themselves at risk. Instead, since the dinosaur lays eggs, they would extract the blood from one of the eggs. To do this, they went to a large rock on the island. At a location on that substantial rock, there existed a nest belonging to the flying dinosaur where its eggs were carefully laid. Consequently, Zora, the scientist, and their companion approached close to the nest. The scientist carefully takes an egg in hand and proceeds to extract the blood from it. This indicates they now possess the blood of all 3 distinct dinosaurs. They had successfully achieved their 3 objectives, but before they could depart, the flying dinosaur arrives and upon observing them near its nest perceives that they might have come to endanger its precious eggs. The Isle of Wolsichi is a mystery, Jaime. Boovie is concerned about Owen's colleague who was starting to become an absorbed scientist, and Martin somehow managed to save his life. They were on the island with the dinosaurs, and although they couldn't see them at first, slowly before 18 boats arrived, Teresa's Russian family reached the Slapkey Pass, and JC, years ago, used to run the engine company. Each other easily, I think. What they witnessed reminded them of peril, a peril outside akin to a significant threat of dinosaurs in acts of terrorism. Sadhana Kalkar. Upon the elevated platform, every single individual was rendered utterly speechless when, directly in front of me, an enormous dinosaur, the largest and most ferocious known as the Tyrannosaurus rex, emerged. We subsequently discovered that it was indeed the very same dinosaur that had undergone mutation and obliterated the engine company. It launched a ferocious assault and Martin transformed into a heroic figure. The dinosaur commenced yet another ferocious and intensely aggressive assault, and fortunately each and every individual was successfully rescued by a helicopter that arrived precisely at the most opportune moment. The dinosaur even attempted to chomp down on the helicopter, but the exceptionally skilled pilots adeptly maneuvered it away to safety. In the exhibit GSL, the engine company is orchestrating a grand festival where we are utilizing this Shivka to facilitate things more efficiently. All the preparations are being meticulously arranged so that the lyrics in Cody and the exhibits on Kitaro are prominently displayed. It appears as though the dinosaur is advancing from the opposite direction, and the festival is being organized with immense enthusiasm. The ship is being thoroughly loaded to ensure everything is clear and fully prepared as the Tyrannosaurus Rex is drawing near. Zora appears to be sprinting quite a distance away from the ships. The KTX has arrived there, and the reality is that it provided an opportunity to flee, which is a source of sadness for Zora. They even attempt to prevent him from proceeding with it. However, his friend insisted that there is no alternative, so he must proceed. He promptly instructs everyone to evacuate from there. Subsequently, Teresa's father swiftly initiates the ship and they commence their departure from the islands. At this point, when Zora's companion was diverting the T-Rex away, the lights unexpectedly go out. Observing this, Zora felt as though her companion had been slain by the T-Rex and the dinosaur had devoured him, and now the T-Rex begins advancing towards the clearing. Shortly after it departs, This made her feel as though her companion was still alive. Consequently, Joyra swiftly navigated the ship in the direction where her companion was entirely safe, as he had ultimately succeeded in outsmarting the D-Rex. They promptly get him aboard the ship and commence their departure from the perilous island. Along the way, scientist Joyra mentions that Martin intended to give these 3 blood samples to only one company. But that's not appropriate because if this blood is given to just one company, so the company will succeed in making the medicine, then they will sell the medicine at a very high price. As a result, the medicines will not reach everyone. This means only the rich will be able to buy them and only one company will continue to profit. Therefore, they both decide to distribute the blood samples to multiple companies so that all companies will make the medicines and both the poor and the rich will have access to them. With this plan, the story of the film ends here. Please let us know how you like the story in the comment box.